Welcome to the Inspiration for an Empowered Life podcast, sponsored by the Image Designers. They will help you look prosperous, feel prosperous, and be prosperous. Now, here's your host, the Image Master, Holly Porter.
Hi, I'm Holly, and I'd like to welcome you to our podcast. Today, I have a good friend of mine. Her name's Cin Harvey, and I'm just going to read a little bio about her here, so bear with me. Cin is an experiential teacher for the soul. Her background is a working artist, and she really brings a unique perspective to her work as a healer. She utilizes the powerful instinctual drive to create that we all have. As an influence and platform for the energy work and spiritual healing she has learned, she is a Theta Healer practitioner, hypnotist, Jikiden, I hope I said that right, Reiki master, spiritual coach, and entrepreneur. Her mission to guide others in remembering and strengthening that connection to truly amazing version of themselves that they already are. It is through this intimate connection that you can create the life experience that we all deserve. One filled with vision, direction, confidence, and a perfect alignment with our soul's purpose. Welcome, Cin. I'm so excited you're here.
Thank you. That's a mouthful, huh?
Oh, that was awesome. I love when people help me out just a little bit because I know how awesome you are, but you know, it's hard to sit and write that about yourself, I'm sure, you know?
Yeah.
So we've known each other for a couple years now, I think, and and I would say, it seems a lot longer because we have spent many hours between, you know, working on the phone with each other and in classes. So I feel like really it's like probably 5 years worth of time for other people, right?
Yeah. There you go. I like that.
But yeah, and so Cin is so talented, and I can't wait to have you hear her story, which I'm going to have her chat it up here in a minute. But Cin is also one of the authors in our book called The 40-40 Rules, Wisdom from 40 Women Over 40. So I guess we just gave it, away that you're over 40.
Just dated. I'm definitely, by doing this project, dating myself.
As somebody was 38 that wanted to do it, and I'm like, well, you don't care if people think you're 40-year-old. Wow, okay, it was cute. But so what I want to, this is really all about you today, Cin, and I just wanted to ask you a few things. The first thing was, that how you came to do what you're doing right now. Like, how did you get here? So share your story a little bit with the listeners.
It's a really interesting path. I'm going to try to give you the Reader's Digest version because it's very interesting, a very long path. I grew up, not that long. In my younger years, I worked in the holistic field, worked for chiropractors, did a lot of learning and understanding about the holistic mentality and taking care of yourself and health and, addressing mental, physical, emotional, not necessarily, sometimes spiritual, but in that context, it's more about physical health and addressing it through mental, physical, and energetic wise. And just really, that was an environment that I took to learn really fast and really had some connections with it and had some profound experiences working with clients, for chiropractors. And so I kind of started, moving in that direction of healing arts, alternative medicine, I guess. It's called, allopathic medicine versus homeopathic or holistic medicine. Allopathic is the Western version and holistic being the Eastern version, which is more mind, body, spirit. And so started learning lots and lots of things. And then I've always been an artist. And so I would gravitate back to creating art and fine art. And then I would kind of gravitate back to this, healing arts, and then just kind of back and forth. And so I really, over the years, started really seeing these patterns and wanting to find a way to marry those two worlds, because obviously both of those are something that I'm very connected to and really have an affinity for. And then my mom and my sister both had, were sick with breast cancer. And so that, my sister and I kind of went off on a whole nother adventure, learning lots of things that I hadn't ever been exposed to yet, like Reiki and a little more creative, or I guess what could be considered kind of woo-woo stuff, the whole energy work.
Right.
And it was very interesting, and yet I kind of rejected it. So anyway, not to digress too far. So I just learned a lot of new things when going through that with them. And it really kind of emblazoned this passion that I had to marry those two worlds, partly in just my emotional attachment to going through that experience and my love for my mom and my sister, and all the stuff that we went through while they were living. So that's how I got to the place where that's where I got here, basically. That was the catalyst.
Yeah.
What's
your favorite part about what you do?
Wow, that's a good question.
Like, what lights you up?
What my favorite part, what comes up just quickly and naturally, is being of service. That's one thing that was very surprising for me, because I took care of both my mom and my sister, and I felt an honor to do that, particularly my mom, because she's my mom, and she raised me, and I was a stinker. I was a big stinker.
Aren't we all?
When I was a teenager. Oh my gosh, yeah. And so it just felt very honorable to be able to switch that role and to just say, to give that gift back to her. And then what I realized is it was something that felt very, I don't know, it just filled my soul, and it just made me feel very purposeful. And so being able to be of service in a way that you're there for somebody, supporting them and holding up space for them to move through whatever they're moving through, whether it's a physical ailment or emotional ailment or sort of mental or something difficult, sharing that with them and kind of going through that with them in a partnership way, in that you're not doing it, but you're just supporting them, felt really good. Yeah. And it felt natural.
Yeah. Well, and I know what a good heart you have, I mean, I've watched since I've known you what a giver you are. And so, how do you feel like you've applied, that to your work from that experience into doing what you're doing now?
Really learning to be present and to be with somebody in that space with them without taking that on personally.
Yeah, because you're an empath and you're very intuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was a tough one, especially with my mom and my sister. That was a big, wonderful opportunity to learn that skill, or learn that lesson.
Right.
That in order to really love and support somebody, you kind of have to do it from afar, sort of in that way. It's their journey, and we all have our own. We have free will. We have the God-given right to learn our lessons that we want to learn,
right?
Whatever that is, and not only just to learn it, but to learn it at a pace that we choose to learn it. And sometimes that's fast, and then it slows down, and sometimes it just stops for a while, and then sometimes and it's different for everybody, and every lesson is different. So really having the compassion to just be able to say, okay, if you're here and you want to stay here, that's awesome, and I love you, and I'll support you with that.
So how did you take the role of, because you're an artist and she does some beautiful artwork, by the way, how did you take the role of being an artist and, and you do hypnosis? And so I mean, like, how did you do that? Like, how did you decide to combine those two worlds?
Yeah, that's it's a funny story. Again, it goes back to my mom and my sister and just all the adventures that we had and things that we learned. And as an artist, my favorite part about it is really kind of the engineering part, because I'm very analytical and logical minded. Even though I'm creative, I'm very logically minded. And so I like figuring out how things work. Like when I was little, I was a kid that took the toaster apart just to see how it functioned. And so art was the process that you go through creating art was what I've always been kind of addicted to, what had the most value for it in me, because figuring out how to take something, either an idea in your mind or something that you see, and basically engineering a way to get it from a thought into a 3D product is, that whole problem solving thing is really fun for me. So that was one part of it. On this journey with my sister, one of the things that she did was took a Reiki certification, and she had asked me to, and I said, I'm not really into the whole like woo-woo energy work kind of thing. I mean, I'm creative, but that's just too weird. And so again, it was kind of this push and pull thing where my whole life I would be drawn to that type of work,
right?
And then repelled at the same time. So I was always curious about it. And then I'm like, oh no, it's just too weird. It just doesn't make sense. When you start thinking about it, it's just there's too much faith and too much unknowns that made me uncomfortable. And so I was just always back and forth, back and forth. She asked me to take a Reiki certification course, and I said, well, I'm really not into that though. I don't really want to. So she took it and she used it to work on herself. And she went from a 6-month diagnosis to lasting 2 years. So a lot of the stuff that she did obviously worked, because she also was doing traditional chemo, which was up until the last couple months, when she would tell people what she was going through and that she was as sick as she was, they just couldn't believe it. They're like, oh my God, you look so healthy. It's just, wow. I don't, like, they couldn't get their mind around it. So she went to take the 2nd level certification, and I said, okay. She really, really wanted me to. And I said, you know what? I'm fine. I'm willing to do it for you. I love you. I'll do it with you. If it means that much to you, sure, let's do it. And then she ended up, right before the class started, she ended up taking a turn for the worse. And that ended up being, the beginning of the end, or the end of the beginning.
Yeah.
depending on if you're here or there, where she is now. I kind of like it to the movie with Johnny Depp, the Pirates of the Caribbean, that one where they change realms and like the ship flips over, and then it's on top of the water again. So we decided to do this, and then she took a turn for the worse, so I never did it. And then months later, we just happened to be living in the Middle East, and this weird serendipitous series of events happened, like 3 or 4 or 5 things in a row with a class that was out there for Jikiden Reiki. And I finally conceded and said, okay, all right, Deb, I got it. I'll do it. Deb is my sister's name. And so I'm like, I get uncle. I will go take the Reiki certification course. So that was the beginning of it. I did that and then really learned a lot about it. My instructor was amazing. I love that version of Reiki because it's the simplest of what I had heard, or people that I knew that learned Western Reiki, where there's a lot more involved, a lot more rituals and stuff involved. Jikiden's a little bit, the Eastern versions are they're not as, I guess my interpretation is complicated. I'm not certified in any, so I don't know exactly what they look like. Okay. Just from people that I've talked to. And so I thought it was funny because if I was going to do something like that, that was the perfect version of it for me because it was very, very simple. I'm like, yes. How funny is that? So that's what started it. That was, again, the catalyst to that component of getting into healing work. And I've always been very, with my hands, I was going to go to massage therapy school to do that because something that's natural and intuitive for me. Again, I guess being empathic, that was something that I resisted for a really long time, and then finally just decided to give up the resistance to it and start learning about it and understanding it, and that changed my world,
Right.
how I function in it. So yeah, so that's where I went that whole route. And
So
then
can I talk for a second about the hypno art?
yeah,
Because that's what I know. So Cin does this hypno art, and I was in a class, and she did it for this class. And so like she can you can fly her into corporate retreats, you can have whatever night, like you're painting wine, it's like hypno art, right?
yeah, it's like a moving meditation.
Yeah.
And just paint and canvas just happen to be the modality, but it's like a moving meditation.
And I actually have my painting hanging up in my office, which is kind of comical because I am so not an artist. Give me a head of hair and I can create anything, I've been a professor for years. However, I barely can write. So that was fun. And actually, I think mine turned out to be one of the best ones. But it was good. Yeah, it was a really good project. And a really, like meditating. Like it was a real relaxation, but you also learn, like Cin has a special way of doing it so that like you're getting so many different benefits in so many areas of just life. And like I could see, when these corporations do retreats, like that would be a really beneficial exercise to have you come and do.
Right. Yeah, it's a good, a very kind of creative, fun, relaxed way of problem solving, of potentially bringing up what could potentially be some heavy stuff, right? Some really heavy mental block, like ideas or beliefs or blocks that are not serving you, or that limiting what you what you think of yourself, or what you can accomplish, what you can do. What it could potentially be kind of scary, but bringing those up in an environment that is not so dense and heavy and intimidating, because personal growth can sometimes be really like, oh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to, that's too emotional. That was too traumatic. And this is a way of doing it. Yeah, so this is a way of doing it, just in a different, like tweaking it so that it's not something so intense.
Yeah. So what I found was really interesting was that, the group of us, we were all around a big, conference table, and we all we painted such a different picture of, what we worked on. So we're all hearing the same things, but nobody's picture had anything to do with each other. Like it was really cool. Like mine ended up being probably what I wanted to create, this beach scene, and the water and birds and sky and clouds and the sun. Like that was my serenity, and that wasn't even what it was about. But for me, that's what I created, and so that's what I found so interesting when we took a picture of everybody's at the end. Yeah, so it was amazing. And anyway, I just wanted to say that was.
And that's kind of where I got the name, or the current name that I'm calling myself, or just identifying as experiential teachings for the soul, is that I started saying I was kind of an experiential tour guide, because it's not my work to do. I'm just opening up the space and helping you connect those dots yourself. And so it's an internal experience, so everybody is on their own journey doing their own thing. That's why what is end up expressed externally is so different from person to person.
Right. No, for sure. So what advice would you give, like entrepreneurs, people out there that are creative, or, that maybe most entrepreneurs, I have to say, don't do one thing. And if I hear someone tell me I have to stick with one more thing, I might choke them, but just kidding. But, it's like, show me a millionaire that does one thing,
Yeah.
And so like, what advice would you give?
Well, one of the most valuable things that I came to understand is in the beginning, when you're charting or when you're on an uncharted course, right? So you're kind of making something that hasn't been done before. In that context, there's no example to go by, and so our natural tendency is to compare and contrast, right? That's how the brain processes and understands and judges and discerns information.
Totally.
And so you start reaching out for, okay, so this is what I want to do. Let me find other people that have created success, and let me find out what they did, and then I'll just copy what they did. Well, parts or components of it might be perfect for you, for the way that you think, the way that you process information, your personality, your environment, your culture, just, all these complicated things that make up each individual person and how we show up in the world, right? But then the rest of it is so dissonant. So finding ways to just be okay with reaching out there to look at the examples of things and just grab those little nuggets, individual nuggets, and pull them in and start using those, and then reach out to other things and just really be willing to work or move from within, expanding yourself out to create something versus finding examples outside of yourself and wanting to copy them exactly is for me, it was very unrealistic, because I would do that and I wouldn't get results. And I'm like, well, I'm doing everything they said. So what's happening? I'm using this system, I'm following these rules, and I'm doing these 10 steps, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and it starts working for a little while, and then it just fails. It just falls apart. I'm like, what? I don't understand what's happening. So what I started realizing that when, in order to really express and create something that is you, right? Because that's all you're really doing. I mean, whether art or any other area of life, you're just expressing who you are.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, you have to actually stay connected to who you are the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to stay within processes or techniques or skills that resonate, that really represent who you are. Because when you start trying to be somebody else or do it in another way that does not come natural, that does not feel, I guess natural is the best word I can
Well,
think.
and then you come off,
Yeah.
to people.
Because, so it ends up being very contrived, right? And then you're not showing up as you, so now you're not expressing yourself anymore.
Right.
And so I think that's where the disconnect ends. And you stop expressing yourself, that's contraction comes into play. So then you start closing down. When you're in your element and you're showing up in your space as yourself and feeling good about it,
Yeah.
and standing powerfully in your own space and who you are as a spirit, as your soul, when you're connected to that, then you're expanding. And so you're just growing and expanding. The minute that you start trying to be something other than that, you contract. And even just as simple as people can feel that when you're interacting with people, they're like, oh, and they don't understand why, they just feel it.
Yeah.
Right? And they respond to it. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically just be you. Like nobody else is.
Thank you for summing that up in a very simple manner.
I'm all about the not words. No. That's why I have you.
Yeah.
Well, we're out of time, but I just wanted to say thank you. Anything else? Oh, I do know. Will you, if somebody needs to get a hold of you, of course they're going to need to because you're so awesome, but if they want to, then how would they get a hold of you? Let's email, whatever, your Facebook. What would you like to share?
Yeah, so I have a website that is www.artofhypnosis.weebly.com. That's kind of long. Also just cinhypnoart@gmail.com can work.
Okay.
And I do have a Facebook page that's HypnoArt.
Love it. Love it. Anyway, yeah, I think you're going to be able to still serve a ton of people because you're awesome that way, and you're so smart.
Thank you.
Very
This is fun.
Ah.
I love your hat. I'm so distracted by your hat. It's so cute. Yes.
Goes into my little curtain back here, eh? But well, thanks. Okay, so our listeners didn't see my hat. I have a cap with the owl on it.
It is adorable.
But we can see each other.
Whose hat?
Who's that? What hat is that? I want to see your hat. Oh, dear. Well, thank you for listening today to our podcast, and we look forward to you coming and joining us at a later time. So we'll probably, I'm sure, do it again. So thank you, listeners. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Inspiration for an Empowered Life podcast, sponsored by the Image Designers. They will help you look prosperous, feel prosperous, and be prosperous. You can learn more about them at theimagedesigners.com or email Holly at hollyporter.com.